DC-san!
DC-san, good to see you again.
And we're about to start off the second episode of The Flash, Season 3 here. It's lunchtime right now, so, you know, we gotta make sure we have the perfect meal.
Yes.
For the perfect TV show on the CW right now.
You know, I went all the way to Keystone to get this.
I saw that. I got the bill, so, you know. We, in the last question of the video, we were just kind of talking about Barry's choices, and I thought that was a really good topic, and a lot of people really enjoyed this one, one. But in this episode, I heard, I actually don't know what the official name of it was called, but I heard that this one was going to be called Paradox. So the first one was Flashpoint, and the second one was Paradox.
I see how they took that and broke it
down.
Well,
because we saw the Flashpoint part, but now we're seeing the actions, the paradox of what Barry was going to be doing. So anything
just from the ending of the last episode where Iris isn't getting along with the family.
That's going to be
bugging me because I'm like, well, why? What happened? What happened? I'm hoping that it actually gets answered in this episode, not the third or fourth episode. But.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's called. It's called Flashpoint Paradox. And alright, the second episode is Paradox. The third episode is going to be called Magenta.
Ooh.
Magneto confirmed.
He's searching for Quicksilver because Flash killed him.
What? Okay. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this reaction on the way. Okay.
Wherever you need to go, whatever you need to do it. I'll be here.
Except that.
Surprise.
Felicity!
Oh! What? What?
So I reset everything. I put everything back to the way that it was before. Except some things weren't the same anymore, not even a little bit.
Slow down.
You just got it.
Take a breath. We're alive.
Yeah.
And then you restored this timeline.
I was gonna say, Flashpoint did not mess up that ass.
Exactly. I don't know, Felicity. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Okay, why don't you just walk me through what happened, and we'll.
Wow, that was cool. Wow, it's gonna fall apart.
Awesome.
Five-fingered. How about thief? He robs stuff. Let's just call him thief.
What's up with this guy?
That's one of the minor changes.
Get to the gym. Excuse me.
No, Barry, sometimes your jokes just aren't very funny.
His brother was killed.
I should get back to the paper.
Why doesn't he? Here's the one thing I'll say.
With you?
Why doesn't he just explain he
Are you
ran
trying to make me
back
as
in
mad
time?
at you as I am at him?
No.
Oh, he doesn't want to get blamed.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, you kissed Iris.
Well, not anymore. I've kissed Iris West twice, and I have managed to erase both times from existence.
Because you're an
I
idiot.
hate it when that happens.
I should have told her mother was alive, but I didn't.
Yeah, but she forgave you for that. One would think that she would have. Yes, let's get in the hospital and find the
Floyd.
think are attached.
Well, that's impossible. Everybody likes Barry Allen. You're like pudding. Everybody likes pudding.
Not everyone.
Yeah, I'll leave that alone.
Pudding.
I do like a little pudding from time to time.
Hated that he never spoke. Excuse me.
Stop killing off Dantes in TV shows.
Well, has anything here changed?
No, I don't know. I mean, everything seems the same, I think.
Good.
Yes, it does.
Can I use... Hold on. I'll be real careful. I got it. Don't worry.
Too bad we can't rewind.
Diggle?
Who's that young boy with the...
Yeah.
No, wait, you
Except
didn't have a
young
kid before?
Oh, he had a kid. He has a kid. Yeah, it was baby Sarah.
Baby John. Oh. Are you... Oh my god, it really can affect us. Now!
Right now?
Yes!
Okay. All right.
I like how they,
So where's
they crept in Arrow's music though in that one. Oh, that's yeah. Not Eddie.
Raven?
It kind of does.
That was
You might
awesome.
want to get that to Star Labs.
Yeah. All right, guys. Look, we're not acting like a team, and I just wanted things back to how they were, just fixed.
If you wanted things fixed, maybe you should have gone back in time and stopped my brother from dying.
Ah.
That's all.
You want me to change the timeline
Right.
to save Dante? Oh, you do remember Flash?
He really reminds me of Phil
Because
DeFranco.
I remember everything, too. How are you here?
I like his sound, though.
Pumping sounds pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Fast is an understatement. Great purpose. See, the way his costume's lighting up.
I like it, yeah, that's really
sweet.
cool, yeah. Oh, that's...
Oops.
Wow. Nice. Okay. Is that Wally?
I think that there's only one way to do that now. I'm sorry, Iris.
He's gonna go back again?
Right?
Who pulled?
Flash.
Ha!
Sweet!
We need to talk.
Nice. But which one is he, though?
That is awesome.
Where are we? Motorcar Diner in Central City.
When are you?
Dawson's
Dawson's
Creek.
Creek.
1998. It breaks. Now,
That was cool.
you can reset the timeline. You
Right.
can try to fix it. But no matter
But
how
cracks
hard
are still
you
there.
try,
Still there.
it's never going to be exactly how it was. I'm not going to make the same mistakes. Yeah, what you just said right there. That is the paradox of time travel and also the paradox of life. I mean, if I only knew then what I know now. I have these powers. If I can't go back and fix what I broke. We're not gods. We're men. What kind of hero are you going to be? Are you just going to take a do-over every time you make a mistake? Or will you live with them
Good point.
and move forward?
That's a really good point.
Bird.
But my dad,
I want to see how Cisco
after we
reacts to
defeated
this.
him, existence, how's that possible?
Don't go to the board. Oh my god, here we go again. Oh.
This is the timeline.
Okay.
This is the point that we exist on it right now. This past point is where my mom was murdered. I can't ever really put it back together.
It's gonna make me sad.
Yeah, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
So, you decided it was okay to change things when someone in your family dies. But when it's someone in my family,
But Dante never died in his timeline. Also,
Yeah,
but I
it's
get
the
the
only
point.
line that they gave Cisco.
Yeah, I get. Yeah.
If Cisco can fly to Earth 2, fly to another timeline.
He probably will in time.
Haha, I see what you did there.
It's where I died.
Oh,
But I'm not gonna waste a second chance on you. This time, I'm gonna show you who's the fastest man alive. Barry! Barry!
His comms aren't working.
is that the Prescott mill?
That's right around the corner.
We gotta do something.
Wally, do it. I think Wally's got powers. I think they're reversing from the last fight. Damn!
nice punch to the ribs, but you gotta do more than that flash. 5.
Bye.
Stay away from my friend.
Nice.
That was
Keep
sweet.
him in the air. Okay.
Oh,
That's kind of cool. I kind of like. It's kind of Street Fighter-ish style. Hadouken.
Mostly. You have nothing to worry about, Kate. I think out of everyone, actually, you're the
Watch
only one that
Ronnie
wasn't
show up.
really effective when I mess with the timeline. I mean, unless you're secretly moonlighting as an ophthalmologist.
A what?
Kidding, nothing. Just a flashpoint joke. See you later.
That wasn't even funny though. Oh shit! Nice. Okay.
Frost.
Are you sure you don't want to know about the other timeline?
No, I guess in my mind,
Let me show you.
wherever you go, you'll always be Barry. And I'll always be Iris. And we always find each other.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Thought someone's gonna come and snatch him.
Snap their necks. This isn't a Zack Snyder film.
Throw him in the Speed Force. Right before he gets a chance to piss.
Let me try again. Alchemy! No.
The fuck was that?
No, just like.
Look like a Final Fantasy night. So there you have it. That was season 3, episode 2 of The Flash Paradox.
Yes. So, we got to jump into a couple things. So,
overall,
yes.
how did you like the episode?
I like the episode because they basically tried to clean things up because the first episode caused confusion for some viewers dealing with the timeline things. So they go back and they explain it and try and clean it up, but also they let people know that, hey, we're pretty much probably going to stick with this timeline instead of constantly jumping and go from there. So everyone's had something happen to them. They'll have to recover from it. Barry will have, he's playing cleanup of his emotions, but outside of that, he's got to readjust to this timeline.
Yes.
So with all that happening, it leaves us wondering what's the same, what's different. So when they are making
there will
changes,
be little reveals.
We're not too distraught or torn because, well, it's not the timeline we were used to. And one of the things I want to get to with that specifically, Black Canary.
Okay. Well, the thing I like, the first part of the episode I wasn't liking, I think because it was really hard for me to actually vibe, no pun intended, but like vibe with this new timeline, like all the stuff that was going on, and I was actually kind of getting frustrated with what was going on, and I was extremely getting frustrated in the fact that he was gonna go back and try and reset the timeline again. But that's why I was actually really, the episode started to take a really nice sort of turn or moral grounding when
his father's
we'll say okay, Jay Garrett or Earth 3 Flash comes in and grabs snatches him to the side. Basically gave him a verbal whooping, a speedster whooping, like to let him know like you just can't deal with this. And I did really like that speech that it was like, look, are you gonna take the easy way out and have a do-over every time things don't go your way, or are you just going to man up and deal with the consequences? But one of those consequences I think is kind of interesting in some form or fashion is the fact that most things can be repaired, but this time around Dante stays dead. And
losing someone that can't be repaired.
And I think that's an interesting character-wise and story-wise for Flash. I think that works out fairly well in terms of seeing the relationship Cisco will have with Barry from here on out.
It's not like that teacup; it's fractured.
Right, and it's not something. But not even that. It's not something that can be fixed in one episode. It is kind of interesting because I thought what was weird is that they didn't really dive into it. We were talking about when we saw, like, the first thing I wanted to know was, is Cisco going to ask if his brother was alive in other timelines? And they didn't even pop that question. I thought that was really weird that if I was Cisco, that would have been the first thing I would have asked. But he was still trying to get his head around, I guess he was getting his head around the sort of selfishness of
Barry.
His Barry, before our Barry came into that timeline. His Barry basically of like saying no.
I'd never do that.
Right,
kind of thing.
I would never do that thing.
Up.
Right, but he ended up doing it anyways. But I am also kind of wondering if Cisco, because I was playing in my own head, is if Cisco started thinking through things in his own way of like, okay, even in that other timeline, maybe my brother would die in some form or fashion. Because I think he did. I vaguely remember his brother dying in one episode. Somewhere along the line, when Barry went to Earth 2, his brother as a villain, I think, died.
Yes, but that was Earth 2.
Right, but I'm just saying, there are form or fashions where he has died. And I also thought what was also really interesting is Barry mentioned a point we made in last episode when he was talking to Cisco about the fact that even if you go back and save your brother, then someone else is going to die, and that's something you're going to live with. And that's a point we actually brought up in the discussion last episode, was like living with the fact that you involuntarily killed someone else.
Right. And the way Barry's basically trying to get
Cisco
get Cisco to understand is that by doing that, you will have to deal with what I'm feeling now.
Right.
Because Barry's actually going through that.
Right.
And he's going through it 2, if not 3-fold, because he's going through it with watching his mother die yet again, watching his father die, and then knowing that Cisco lost his brother.
Right.
And it's like, what else?
Right.
You know, it's bad. And him mentioning that the possibility of other speedsters and other people that have powers getting them back, oh my goodness. That's going to be, they're going to be bogged down with a lot of stuff.
I'm glad to see that they're sticking with this timeline. I can deal with these subtle changes. It's fine, because most
at least
of them,
for now, anyway.
For now, I mean,
depending on how the writing goes from here on.
Right, exactly. But I do feel like it's a nice slight game changer. It's not enough for the fact that we're going to be like, God, I missed the original timeline. It's enough that, okay, there is something. Because I also thought the thing with Iris and Joe was a little odd.
Like, yeah, it's like the way they are and the way they've been in every single timeline or iteration we've seen in Earth doesn't matter. They've always been thick thieves, super close, father and daughter, and I like that because they had a mutual respect for each other.
Well, I was just kind of like
father and daughter. Them being angry like that and then not talking. What exactly is it that caused that?
It was the fact that. Well, I felt like it was like him not telling about
his mom.
But I thought that was a little like it was kind of weak.
Yeah,
for them not to be talking for so long,
because
just
even
because of
in
that.
the previous timeline, he didn't know, or he knew to a certain point, but didn't know after. And when his dead wife comes back and explains everything,
he was going through
and he tells his daughter. His daughter is actually like, I understand why things happen, and I'm glad you told me, but it's not going to change the way I feel about you. And I was like, that was very, very mature and very cool how they wrote that.
Well, but
so this go around, it felt weak for me.
Yeah, and I think that's why, because we saw such a flourished version of the relationship in that story, that this one we didn't really know. We didn't really see how it panned out.
Right.
How long did he wait? Was it 10 years, 15 years type of deal?
Yeah, that's something we kind of
know. So we don't really know fully how that happened. I like the addition. In some form or fashion, I kind of like the addition of Caitlin having her frost powers.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, but is it...
I don't know how long that's going to run. I thought it was kind of corny how they threw it in, but it was kind of like...
But also, how are they going to play story-wise? Is she going to eventually go evil? Or is she going to be a good... Frost.
I was thinking the same thing because I was thinking Killer Frost, good Killer Frost or like semi-good Killer Frost is not really. It kind of takes the name of Killer away, like that. We're just gonna give her ice powers and that's that. So
Firestorm could come back and be evil in this version.
I read, but you know what? I did read somewhere that he might come back. That's the
Ronnie Mel.
Yes, Ronnie might come back in some form or fashion to play Deathstorm or something like that.
Yeah. So he's evil.
So
like on Earth too. See, the reason I'm happy because that actor has been in so many CW shows, and it just seems like outside of working on those shows, he's had like bad luck because he'll get on a good show and for whatever reason the show gets dropped, or his character gets killed off.
What do you think about Alchemy? The guy. Not even Alchemy. The rival. He really looks like Phil DeFranco to me.
I was like, Phil DeFranco. The rival. I like the rival. I like his costume. My only issue with the costume.
The ears. So
the fins for ears.
Okay.
If they made them thinner, maybe.
Yes.
But they may be trying to keep away.
I saw concept art.
Looking at.
I get it. Well, I saw the concept art because they show. A couple days ago they posted the concept art for Rival, Kid Flash, and Black Canary.
Right.
Which.
Yeah, because that's why I mentioned
Black Canary or Black
back.
Siren or something like that.
Yeah. Either way, she's coming back.
Kid Flash and Black Siren pretty much look the same, but it was the one deal with Rival where the ears weren't as big. But one of the reasons is because he looked way too much like Zoom and everybody else. Like it looks, which I get.
But he's got. I understand, but he's got more color.
People would have confused. But I also
a little different.
But I also kind of get the fact that you needed the speedsters to look fairly. Very different from each other, like that. If you had
have subtle,
it would have just It would have just been Zoom with yellow on them. So I kind of understood why they.
Well, that kind of is Zoom and Reverse Flash. If you look at them in the comic book, especially in the originals, they are very much alike.
Yeah.
The subtle differences would be like Zoom has got black eyes with the red dots as opposed to white. But they're almost wearing the same costume.
Well, that's because they're supposed to be the reverse of each other, not rivals of each other, like that.
Yes.
Reverse Flash and Flash are supposed to be.
No. I mean reverse. What I mean is Reverse Flash and Zoom. Those two characters, their costumes are very, very similar. That's why people do confuse them.
Are you talking about the TV show?
No. In the comic books. That's why people do confuse them a lot. So when they reintroduced the New 52, they gave him a very, very different costume. Okay. They made it black and red.
Right. I didn't even know that. Like, I thought Zoom was Reverse Flash in the comics. The original basically New 52.
I thought Zoom that's what his name Professor was. Zoom, and then you have Zoom. They originally were two different characters, but they're often mistaken for the same because one character actually kind of died off or was lost in the Speed Force. And not Rival. We're talking about Zoom. And when he came back, it was as Zoom, who looked very much like the previous Professor Zoom. Right. With the slight difference being the black eyes and the dots, but they're not the same person. That wasn't
Reverse Flash.
They're not the same person.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why, because a lot of people complain, it's like it's the same person, but then it's not, and then the stories just seem confusing. So what they did was, with New 52, they cleaned it up by just making his costume completely different and making it a completely different character. That was Daniel West.
Then I'd say, then what I'd say is, I guess as an answer to the Rival, with not those stupid ass ears, the fish ear looking thing, is maybe they should have just shred his costume more, because I like how they were doing that.
I like
shred it
everything
a little bit more.
Here.
Yeah.
Even from this point down is awesome. Yeah. This they could actually do without completely. Just make it smooth like the Flash's costume.
Maybe in the future they might actually like the fact that I thought it was kind of weird that Rival ripped off Flash's ears or whatever his wings and stabbed them with it. Maybe in the future Flash will do that. Rip them off.
I looked at it as that being an homage to the original Flash character design of that being like Mercury, the wings of Mercury, because they're actually on his feet, so he's ripping his wings off. So it's I like how they
all
did
I'm
that.
Saying
and
is that
gives him a chance to get a new costume.
Well, all I'm saying is that in the future, like the Flash might do the same damn thing to Rival, and then Rival will stop having the Aquaman.
That would be awesome.
Ears and such, like rip his ass.
Please, because otherwise the costume goes from looking completely badass to kind of goofy.
Yeah, I agree. He looks. It just for me, it looks goofy, but at the same time, I kind of like part of it. But yes, I also feel like they're messing like it.
That, or if you have it there, just make it a little bit smaller, because they look like fins, which is kind of awkward. Because if you're going to design a character
again,
like
Aquaman's brother. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, it looks like now. What do you think of Wally? Do you think Wally still has powers?
I think if he doesn't, I think he should be getting them.
Okay.
I think for them to not have Kid Flash in this season at all would be kind of a loss, because having him there, it gives a new dynamic.
Are we just gonna chalk up Earth 3 Flash to having some sort of Speed Force sense based on experience that he could feel when Barry was messing up the time
Well, not
zone?
so much that, is like he's taking a look at Barry, and when you read,
I get this point.
But when you read into the characters in the comic books, once you become in tune, you can actually sense other speedsters.
Right.
So yeah, I could see.
Yeah, I get that must
Barry
be it.
altogether.
Right.
And that would be cool, because that means we have a chance to see him again.
I hope we do, because I've seen photos of them standing together as Barry as Flash and Earth 3 Flash.
As opposed to him being chucked across the...
Right, I've seen him stand. So I thought we were going to get it in this episode, but it's obviously not. So I guess we're going to see something in the future with them teaming up again, because I hope so.
Crossover.
I miss Harrison Wells. So
you do.
I still and you're banking on the fact that Dr. Alchemy is actually Harrison Wells.
Well, it'd be an interesting twist, because that's a completely different image of the character. Like, we've already seen him as a villain, but it wasn't really him. It was.
And then we did
else.
see someone layering in the distance.
And it was funny, because when they showed it, person like they had on.
It's the same that he would wear when he was doing his whole Batman.
But the only thing is, the only other person that we've seen, or one of the only other people we've seen like that, is Joe.
Right.
But why would Joe be there?
Right. It's very possible.
Unless he's there to show up to possibly shoot him, but then he's not the right location.
What do you think of the addition of Malfoy?
Malfoy, I think he's going to figure out Barry's
I think
secret
so.
identity.
Sooner than later.
My question is Malfoy going to end up with some type of power?
I was really thinking that he might have some form of origin very similar to the Rival or so. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about the Rival from the comic books, how this Speed Force was sort of created out of gas.
Out of gas.
And he's going to be some form of a speedster or something like that in the near future.
He could end up being, what was it? Godhand? Godspeed?
Oh, you're talking about not the Death Flash.
No. But I'm thinking Malfoy's character could turn into that.
That's possible. He's got a really big ass head though.
Right?
So,
right? Like no matter what happens, it's like there's kind of a focus on the forehead.
Yeah, right, very inflated and kind of really big, but
wide shots, people, wide shots.
Something like that. It looks like Iris and Barry are they're kind of a thing.
Getting back together.
Getting back together. I think
only because you've been together so many times in other.
I think we covered all the main points. Overall, it was a fairly good episode, and it's what
Jesse Quick.
I thought I was going to talk about Jesse Quick, but
she'll
be back sooner than later
with power. Because in the other timeline, her and Wally
got hit. Right.
Got hit. So potentially it could have.
I think that one they're just going to leave to whether or not it works with the story or not. So because there's still a lot to cover in this season, and even we both watched Supergirl, there's no mention of a merger or anything. Like, even though she's on the CW and they're going to have some form of crossover, it doesn't look like the universes are connecting just yet. So
they probably will.
And maybe.
And that would be awesome. But question for you.
Yes. Okay, I was gonna say they were building on something, and you kind of picked up on it as well. Like Dr. Alchemy is doing something, and we building up for something bigger. In the back of my mind, I was actually thinking Infinite Crisis-ish type of story, like somewhere halfway point, mid-season finale for all of them. When all four of them get together, there's gonna be some sort of Infinite Crisis-ish type story going on.
And the four of them, he means the shows. For those who didn't catch that. Because I'm thinking something very similar, because that would make so much sense in having all four shows together as a big crossover. That and the trailer for the new episode of Supergirl, the way he's holding her like that, like, oh my goodness, I know it's just for that episode, but yes, that's the cover right there.
That would be so dope to see all of them. That would break the TV.
It would break my heart.
That would be I'm talking about just all of them
in a good way.
John Jones, Jones, Diggle, everybody together, and that's a side situation with Diggle has a son now,
Yeah.
I wonder how that's going to play out.
So
actually.
that I'm not too comfortable with that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the whole thing
I feel like,
erases Sarah even more, right?
Like, you know, okay, the Sarah from his timeline passed, so Diggle basically named his daughter after her, which is sweet. But the fact that his daughter is just straight gone, I'm like, oh, that kind of hurts.
We'll see.
It's a personal touch. I got a question for you.
Yes.
As far as speedsters coming on the show this season, are there any that you would like to see? Myself, I was talking to you about it earlier and said that you would do a really good cosplay of it. Max Mercury.
Right. Well, who I have no idea who that is.
But that's for you to research now.
Okay, great.
So we can talk about it on the next.
I'm not like, for me, I'm fine with, like, I kind of would like to see the Black Racer come back in some form or fashion if it fits in the storyline.
Okay.
You know, I really like Tony Todd's voice, so I would like to see some form of Zoom-ish style come back. If not, leave it alone. If they can explore new stories, I'm fine with it. I think when they add too many speedsters in, it starts to get a little, like, the one thing I have noticed is when speedsters fight, it always seems to be this like bumper car thing, and then finally somebody gets a hit and that's that. Or I do like the addition, and when they're fighting now, it kind of like that was a very clever way they added that in, actually.
Vibe and Rival and Flash.
Well, no, I'm just talking about Rival and Flash when they fight. We're kind of like the illusion of just like Dragon Ball. You have to train your eyes so you're able to see them actually fight better.
And so how you slow it down so we can see
the lightning kind of very Street Fighter-ish. I kind of like that addition that they put in there. So I'm very curious how they're going to continue to make those speedster fights interesting, because they can't keep on having every scene of just light running across a building, because that got really boring really quick with Zoom and the Flash.
That did last at least
a little too much. Just the whole like
long.
Catch me if you can type of deal. I'm like, okay, so
like just get in front and trip them.
All right.
I would like to see if they do bring another speedster on, I would like it to be one of those where they teach Barry a new
that'd be nice.
or technique.
That'd be nice. I would like that.
Like actually, going through walls and things.
All right, question of the video coming up now. So in this latest episode, we saw Barry once again compromise in making the very, very difficult decision whether or not to tell Team Flash that he had actually gone back in time to do the timeline and rearranged it. Once again, you have to go to that goddamn board once again and start explaining things, which I thought was okay. I mean, this time around, like at first,
he did make it more simple.
He did make it simpler for even the people following along, first time watching or so, or didn't do the whole thing we did last episode. But the question of the video this time around is, do you think Barry made the right choice in telling Team Flash about Flashpoint? And the reason this is the question of the video is it's something that, if you guys remember, really early on, when the first time jump or Flashpoint happened by accident, where he went back in time during the tidal wave situation, he confronted, at that time, Edward Thawne as Henry Wells, posing as Henry Wells, Reverse Flash, and started telling him about the fact that he went back Harrison Wells. Who's Henry Wells? Actually, there is no Henry. The Black Superman, right? Yeah, there you go. No, Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Steel, right? Okay. Henry John Wells. Okay. Anyways, all that being said, Henry, now I'm getting so confused. Dr. Wells, we'll just call him Dr. Wells, or Edward Thawne, was like, no, I don't want to know shit about that, because it's going to make me change my plans and react based upon what I have known.
And by doing that, he's also altering the timeline. By giving people information that they should not have.
But he decided to go ahead and tell Team Flash, which is something I felt was a good idea to do. And he actually gave them the option to opt in, opt out, if whether or not they wanted to know something about their previous life. Which I also thought was kind of weird, was like he...
Do you really want to know?
Yeah. He started teasing, you sure you don't want to know? You sure you don't want to know anything around? And then he would let it like leak out everyone, like with Catelyn, he was just like, well, don't worry, not much changed about you. I was like, what?
Which is kind of cold because it's like,
how insignificant your life is, right? Yeah.
And like the joke I made with him is, well, the good thing is she didn't mention Ronnie.
Right.
Mainly because I'm tired of him being dead every time she talks about him.
Right. Well, he might come back.
Crazy.
But do you think Barry made the right decision then to tell Team Flash?
I'm mixed. I don't like the idea of him telling Team Flash because of fears of messing with the timeline in general.
Right.
Him talking to Iris about them, maybe, but even then, I wouldn't divulge everything. I'd say just a little bit, like, you know, in my timeline, we were happy, we were close, like we are here.
Well,
keep it simple.
Here's the one thing that they didn't really touch upon so much is the fact that Barry eventually is going to lose his memories of the previous timeline. And it would be nice to see a little bit of that, like him sleeping or just him sitting in a chair or something like that, and being okay with those memories are fading. Like to see something like that, but I know that's something that doesn't really need to be shown on television.
It doesn't need to be shown, but you know what? Arrow's got flashbacks, so hey, you could give Flash that moment of clarity.
Yeah, something like he's like, you know, he's staring off, he's in the canyons or whatever, and he sees some of those memories disappearing, and he's just like, I'm okay with this. But at the same time, what little memories, what big differences are we going? Does he really need to be okay with with letting go? So
that in changing the timeline, does that mean that villains that he's come up against before that may have died or been captured, does that mean that they're released now?
Right.
And the way you just mentioned that scene, it would actually look really cool if he's like sitting in the office looking out at the city, and those dreams are almost those memories, excuse me, not dreams, are almost like washing away in the memories. That would be some really good stuff.
You know, it's going to help though in the future. I think it would help in the future because you just mentioned something about older villains coming back. We're going to be in this sort of paradox, in a sense, no pun intended, that Barry, we're going to be wondering how come Barry doesn't recognize this person like that.
Yeah.
Like, sooner or later, Barry's going to lose those memories. So are we going to just have to assume at some point he lost all those memories? Like, what I'm saying is, if Barry shows up and he just goes along with the whole plan, but us as the viewers, we're like, you don't remember this dude died? Like that? Are we just going to assume?
Like Rival?
Are we just going to assume that he forgot the memories? Or if he remembers things, we're like, wait, how long until Barry loses his memories? That's the kind of tricky situation.
Or they may make
the viewer
paradox. He loses memories and they don't bring the characters back. Like they just go on a clean slate altogether.
Right.
That would be kind of interesting.
It's so funny because this is very much like, this is DC's, I feel when you compare Marvel and DC, this is DC's biggest strength, but it's also their biggest out sometimes.
Yeah, because then you're messing around with things a little too much. And it's like, so now what do we write in?
Well, anyone who's like a big comic fan knows that DC is no stranger to reboots, revamps, soft recoonings and things like that. Like, it happens a little too much in my opinion, because at the moment we're kind of comfortable with something, it changes. Like, I was fine.
Welcome, New 52.
Yeah, I was fine. Overall, I was fine with the New 52 because...
So was I. I liked the character design because it's completely different from the classic version.
But not just that, it was just, for me, most of my guys were untouched, basically. Batman's timeline, for the most part, was untouched. It was a little weird with the whole Robin situation. Like, how many goddamn Robins have you had in, like, 2 or 3 years like that?
Yeah.
But
those birds just keep dying off.
Yeah, it was a little weird on that particular side, but overall my timelines weren't too messed up too. We lost Cassandra Cain and it's kind of as Batgirl.
It was just like,
she became the Bat or something like that, but whatever. But it does become frustrating as a comic book reader sometimes, but they need to shake things up a bit. Hopefully the TV route doesn't go too far that way. Arrow still seems kind of intact for the most part.
He liked the first episode of this season. I'm so happy. But like you said, one episode can't fix an entire season unless it's written really well.
Felicity was pretty good on this episode.
You heard it here, folks.
I never said no Felicity.
I know you because I know you're not a big fan of Felicity.
No, I'm not a big fan.
You don't like Felicity.
I'm not a big
Oliver
fan.
Together.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Olicity. Okay. I liked when Olicity was teased in the first 2 seasons,
as opposed to just being.
But I thought Felicity was great in the first 2 seasons, her role. But when she became bigger than the name of the show is not Felicity and Friends. The name of the show is supposed to be Arrow. When when her problems became bigger than the overall thought of Damien Dark, when her issues were more of a villain than Damien Dark, then that's when it was time for me to go. So
that was kind of weak. But I will say I'm liking how they're starting to play off her character now. Since you've already seen the first episode, her having a new boyfriend is kind of nice because it would be nice to see Oliver move on.
Yeah.
And since Black Canary is coming back, would be nice to see Oliver and his old girlfriend get back together.
There was an awkward pause because I was thinking to myself of damn man, they already worked it in. Couldn't they have just kind of fixed up that Oliver Felicity relationship a little bit more? Like they didn't even season 3 Olicity didn't even happen type of deal.
Actually,
in Flashpoint,
thinking about it, since he's gone back in time a second time. And he's looking, it's like everything seems about the same. What if it didn't? So at this point, will we see an Arrow? She was with the new guy. But maybe in this timeline,
that's not a bad.
She's just with that guy.
That's not a bad theory because in that first episode, Diggle does mention Felicity, but not really so much in the way that there was a heavy sort of romance.
Right.
He kind of just mentioned it the same way Diggle used to mention Felicity around season 2, season 3, where, you're kind of interested in Felicity that. So maybe, but that's just wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking, but it would be kind of cool because then that means you get your wish where there's no more Olicity.
Right.
And I get my wish where there's potential for Black Canary to come back and her and Oliver actually do start off a decent relationship.
And I apologize. It's still Felicity. I mean, it's still Flashpoint.
Yes. Sorry.
See, fucking Felicity is taking over this talk.
So basically, because of Flashpoint, does it change the timeline in some of the other DC properties? It would be nice to see if it does how it does.
The one point I was going to say is just the fact that once the beauty about Olicity, season 1, season 2 is just it was flirting, and every guy knows. Every woman as well who has done the deal. The thing about the flirt is the flirt game is fun because it doesn't go anywhere overall. And it's the same thing like Barry and Iris, they never really had much of a flirt game because they were meant to be together, basically. Right. But when you have the flirt game type of deal, it's only fun because it's kind of like this taboo situation. This is a horrible comparison, but Black and Asian.
I'm waiting to see where he goes with this one.
No, it's the reason why in the adult video section, Black guys and Asian girls is so popular because it's such a taboo thing. Or Black girls,
not because they're meant to be together. No. It's the opposite where it's
such a juxtaposed type of situation, such a taboo thing. Or even before it was Black guys and Asian women, it was just interracial couples, because that was a very taboo thing back in the day.
Right.
The first Black John Jones, the first Black boxer, the whole deal was he shouldn't be dating white women, but he was like, fuck this shit, and he had a white woman in his car all the time just to piss off a bunch of angry white guys. So it's that taboo situation that made it fun, basically. Olicity was kind of fun in the beginning because it was kind of just like, you're making jokes about me being inside you or whatever. Hee 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 ha ha. Yeah, but kind of then, once you actually do it, when it actually happens, the taboo-ness is gone. The relationship sort of happens, and then you get burnt out and you realize it's not fun, and there's no going back afterwards.
Right.
So there was a point I was going with this, but it's the whole idea of like, okay, even if Olicity, even if they had the relationship and they're separated now, it still happened, and there's still kind of this bitterness between them, basically.
Bitterness or like healthy flirtation in it.
But there will be no more of that flirtation anymore, because it's like whatever.
There could be.
We'll see. I don't know.
There's hope.
Yeah, There's sorry, I had to point that one out.
There's hope that it's just flirtation.
All right, guys. Make sure you join up here next episode, number 3. I think it was called Magenta. Looking forward to it. So make sure like, share, subscribe. And hope you enjoyed this discussion. Of course, check out DC Sun's channel as well.
Yes, please.
He's working on something interesting.
I took the logos from Supergirl, Arrow, and Flash, and I'm trying to put them together and see how I like it. I'm putting it on a black background right now, just so it's easier to see on camera. It won't be the finished version.
Where did you get that shirt, by the way? That particular one.
Right?
Yeah, it's really nice.
I got it at the con.
Oh. Is Tokyo Comic Con?
I have two. I have 2 of the same shirt. So the very first one I got when I was in the Philippines. They have a Warner Brothers shop.
Oh, okay.
And they're in the largest mall. When I was there, and it was awesome.
Okay.
Then the second one that I ended up getting, I got at the con mainly because the first one that I had ended up melting in the dryer.
Running too fast. Oh, okay. That's
running too fast in the dryer.
In the Speed Force, you mean the dryer, aka the Speed Force? He was running too fast. All right, guys, are you gonna show up or no?
Yes, I am. Give me 2 seconds and
artist completion. So
it's not complete, but just giving you kind of an idea.
You should sell it.
It's not done.
Okay.
But thank you for joining in. Appreciate it. Keep it super. See you later.
Guys.
All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who